Hello everyone. Hope all of you all are safe and healthy. Yes, I'm Divya here, Department of Chemistry, to continue with the chapter. Extraction of aluminium. We have studied with the extraction of zinc, copper, and now we are going to study about extraction of aluminium. Remember, this is a very important question for your examination. Always asked from past many years in your theory examination. Extraction of aluminium is asked for 3 marks in your theory examination, and it is very important, including a balanced chemical equation and also a diagram for this. Okay, now let us check what are the ores of aluminium, that is bauxite, kyanite. So we are going to choose the ore of aluminium, that is bauxite, for this extraction. Now first is crushing and grinding of ore. The bauxite ore has been crushed and grinded. The next step is concentration. It is done by Bayes process. And what is the concentration method we are going to use over here? The ore is concentrated by leaching. So this leaching method is specially applicable for this bauxite ore. And the process is called as Bayes process. Next step is reduction of metal oxide to metal. This is carried out by electrolytic reduction, and it is also called as All-Heroult process. So in your examination, they will ask you to explain the reduction of metal oxide to metal, or how is aluminium obtained by electrolytic reduction, or the process of All-Heroult process. And then the next step followed by refining. That is, we are going to subject this to electro-refining in order to obtain 100% pure aluminium. Now let us study the reduction of metal oxide to metal. If you're still thinking what is leaching, quickly go through the first video where we have already discussed about leaching. Now let us study this third step, that is reduction of metal oxide to metal, in detail. Now once the ore is concentrated, it is already in the oxide form, so you need not convert it into oxide form. The concentrated ore is now directly subjected into reduction of metal oxide to metal, or electrometallurgy of aluminium, or it is also called as All-Heroult process. Now purified alumina, that is this pure alumina Al2O3, the concentrated ore which is in oxide form, is mixed with cryolite and fluorospar. This increases electrical conductivity and lowers melting point. This cryolite is always used to increase the electrical conductivity, and fluorospar is used to lower the melting point. Now why this has to be added, or why it has to be mixed with this cryolite and fluorospar? This is done because aluminium is bad conductor of electricity. This has to be fused with cryolite and fluorospar. Now this fused mixture or matrix, that is alumina, cryolite and fluorospar, is electrolyzed using steel vessel by carbon lining as cathode and graphite as anode. That is, the fused mass is taken in an iron tank lined inside with carbon. So here you can see this carbon lining. This steel tank is lined inside with carbon lining. This carbon lining acts as cathode over here, and the bunch of graphite rods, you can see the bunch of graphite rods over here which is dipped in the mass, acts as anode. So these graphite rods acts as anode, and the carbon lining of the tank acts as cathode. The fused mass is covered with a lining of coke powder. That is, this mass has been covered with coke powder in order to prevent the oxidation of metal and also to prevent the loss of heat. The mass is, remember, the mass is covered with coke in order to prevent oxidation of metal and also to prevent loss of heat due to radiation. So once passing electric current, the pure alumina gets collected at cathode and you can remove this alumina very easily from cathode. And at anode, you can see that carbon dioxide is liberated. Now we'll see the reactions in detail in the next slide. So remember, we have taken a steel tank and it is lined inside with carbon. This acts as cathode. A bunch of graphite rods are dipped into this mass. This acts as anode. Now you can see overall reaction over here, that is alumina on treating with carbon forms aluminium. That is, carbon reduces alumina, that is oxide of aluminium, to aluminium with liberation of carbon dioxide. So during the process of electrolysis, you can see this reaction. Oxygen being negatively charged move towards anode, and at cathode, aluminium being positive charge move towards cathode. Remember again, what are we taken? That is alumina, Al2O3, and it is being electrolyzed. Aluminium ions move towards cathode. Oxygen ions move towards anode. What happens at cathode and anode? Anode oxidation takes place. At cathode, reduction takes place. This oxygen ion, that is O2 minus ion, undergoes oxidation. Once it undergoes oxidation over here, it loses electrons. This electron will move towards cathode, where there are presence of aluminium ions. These aluminium ions accept the electrons given by this oxygen, forming aluminium. Now what happens at anode? At anode, this oxygen immediately combines with this graphite rod. Graphite rod is nothing but it is made up of what? Carbon. It combines with carbon or burns with carbon, forming carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. So this is how carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide is liberated at anode. So what happens at anode? The oxygen ions undergoes oxidation, and this oxygen atom, which is here, immediately combines with carbon, forming carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide gas is liberated at anode. At cathode, we have aluminium present. So here it is very clear. You can see here aluminium is liberated at cathode and gets collected at the bottom of the tank, from where it is removed periodically, that is very frequently. Oxygen liberated at anode reacts with carbon of anode. So graphite rod is nothing but carbon. It combines or reacts with carbon, forming carbon monoxide, and carbon dioxide gas escapes out. Very important. In this way, for every kg of aluminium, that is for each kg of aluminium produced, about 0.5 kg of carbon anode is burned. That is, for every 1 kg of aluminium, production of 1 kg of aluminium at cathode, 0.5 kg of carbon is used. And this is the reason why anodes, that is carbon rods or graphite rods, which is present as anode, is being periodically replaced or periodically changed. This is how extraction of aluminium done, or reduction of alumina to aluminium done. So usually they ask for reactions at cathode and anode. Kindly remember this. At cathode, aluminium ion accepts or undergoes reduction, forming aluminium. The pure metal of aluminium gets collected at cathode. At anode, this carbon, that is graphite rods, oxygen present at anode combines with the carbon present as graphite rod, forming carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. So this is what the reaction taking place at anode and cathode. This is all about the extraction of aluminium. In this process, we obtain nearly 95% of aluminium. And if you still want to obtain 100% aluminium, we are going to subject that to electrolytic refining. This metal which is formed is purified again in order to obtain 99.9% of aluminium by electrolytic purification or electro refining. So this is how extraction of aluminium done, and it is very important in your examination point of view. In your theory examination, you can always expect this question. The last metal to be extracted is iron. Extraction of iron. This is done by choosing the ores of iron, that is hematite, magnetite, siderite, iron pyrites. We are going to choose hematite. The first step is crushing and grinding of the ore, and the second step is concentration. Here this ore is being concentrated. Since it is iron ore, it is being concentrated by gravity or magnetic separation method. So what is this magnetic separation method? Quickly go through first video if you don't remember. Next is this concentrated ore is now subjected to calcination. It is subjected to calcination. The reason is to convert ferrous oxide to ferric oxide. What is calcination? Heating the concentrated ore without supply of air or an absence of air in a furnace is known as calcination. During this process, ferrous oxide is converted into ferric oxide, volatile impurities are removed as well as moisture is removed. And this calcined ore is now subjected to smelting, which is carried out in a blast furnace. What is smelting? Heating this calcined ore to a high temperature and to reduce metal oxide to metal. Now the concentrated ore is in the oxide form, and the reduction of metal oxide to metal happens in blast furnace. Remember, to this blast furnace, very important, we are going to feed charge, or charge is fed or taken into this blast furnace. Now what is charge? CHARGE. That is, charge is nothing but whatever the calcined ore is now mixed with coke and limestone. So calcined ore, coke and limestone in the ratio of 8:4:1. Please remember this ratio, and it is called as what? Charge. What is charge? It is a mixture of calcined ore, coke and limestone. So calcined ore, coke and limestone in the ratio of 8:4:1 is fed into this blast furnace. This is how the blast furnace look like. It is lined inside with the fire bricks, and it is having a cup and cone arrangement. You're going to feed or you're going to add charge to this furnace through this cup and cone arrangement. I repeat again, charge is the mixture of calcined ore, coke and limestone in the ratio of 8:4:1. Now, in this blast furnace, you can see the different temperature zone, how the different reaction taking place in this different temperature zone. First, you have zone of combustion right above the tires, or at the tires, you have zone of combustion, zone of fusion zone, and zone of slag formation, and at the top you have the reduction zone. Now, the charge is fed into blast furnace, and it is heated by blast of hot air, which is passed through the furnace through the pipes known as tires. It is passed through the pipe known as tires. So it is heated, this charge is heated by passing blast of hot air into the furnace through tires, which are present exactly at the bottom of the furnace here. And the reaction goes in this manner, that is from bottom to the top of the furnace. First is the following reaction taking place at different zones are. First is zone of combustion, which is happening in the furnace over here. So this zone of combustion exactly takes place near the tires. That is, coke which is present burns to form carbon dioxide. The coke which is present burns to form carbon dioxide. Here it is an exothermic reaction, and heat is liberated, and the temperature is about 2100 Kelvin. Temperature is about 2100 Kelvin. Next is zone of heat of absorption. This is an endothermic reaction. In this, the lower part of the furnace, this takes place at the lower part of the furnace, and the temperature here is about 1600 Kelvin. The carbon dioxide formed near the tires moves up. Whatever the carbon dioxide present over here, or which is formed from zone of combustion, it will move up and meet the charge. It will meet the charge which is present, and this charge containing coke or coke present in the charge reduces carbon dioxide to carbon monoxide. So slowly the carbon dioxide which is formed, it will move to the charge. The charge over there contains coke in it, and this coke reduces, or the carbon which is present over here, coke is nothing but carbon. This carbon reduces carbon dioxide to carbon monoxide. Here, since it is an endothermic reaction, the temperature gradually falls to 1400 to 1200 Kelvin. Next is zone of slag formation or slag formation zone. Here you can see this is carried out at the temperature, or this happens at the temperature of 1200 Kelvin. Why the temperature falls from 1600 Kelvin to 1200 Kelvin? Because of endothermic reaction in zone of heat of absorption. So next is zone of slag formation or slag formation zone. It happens at the middle part of the furnace. The temperature is around 1200 Kelvin. In this region, the limestone automatically decomposes to form calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Limestone is nothing but calcium carbonate. It has been reduced to calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. It has been decomposed to calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. This calcium oxide formed acts as a flux and combines with silica, that is SiO2, that is the impurity which is present. Silica is the impurity which is present in your ore, and it combines with this impurity, forming calcium silicate slag. It forms the slag of calcium silicate. Next is zone of reduction or reduction zone. This happens at the upper part of the furnace. This is the last part of the furnace or the last zone, and this takes place at the upper part of the furnace. The temperature here is between 500 to 800 Kelvin. Here, ores are reduced by whatever the ore which is present is being reduced by carbon monoxide as reducing agent. Here you can see this ferric oxide combines with carbon monoxide, forming ferroso-ferric oxide. Fe3O4 is ferroso-ferric oxide. Fe2O3 is ferric oxide. So ferric oxide is first converted into ferroso-ferric oxide. This in turn combines with carbon monoxide, forming iron. So this is how carbon monoxide acts as reducing agent. Still, some of the ferric oxide is still left out unconverted. The middle part of the furnace, the temperature is between 900 to 1500 Kelvin. At the temperature above 1073 Kelvin, please remember, temperature above 1073 Kelvin, carbon acts as a good reducing agent. In the upper part of the furnace, now coke or carbon acts as a very good reducing agent than carbon monoxide. Below 1073 Kelvin, approximately below 1000 Kelvin, carbon monoxide acts as a very good reducing agent. Above 1000 Kelvin, carbon acts as a very good reducing agent. Now you can see after reduction using carbon monoxide into iron, some of the ferric oxide is still left out. Some of the iron oxide is still left out unreduced. This unreduced iron oxide is directly converted into iron or reduced to iron at high temperature in the upper part of the furnace by using carbon or coke as reducing agent. I repeat again, below 1073 Kelvin, carbon monoxide acts as very good reducing agent. Above 1073 Kelvin, carbon, that is coke, acts as very good reducing agent. So whatever the left out iron oxide is directly converted into iron or reduced into iron at high temperature of 1073 Kelvin. So this is how iron is obtained or extracted from its ore. Now whatever the iron obtained from blast furnace contains 4% of carbon and many impurities in trace amount or small amount like sulfur, phosphorus, silicon, manganese are present as impurity. So this is called as pig iron. PIG, pig iron. Whatever the iron now you obtain from this blast furnace is called pig iron. It contains 4% of carbon along with impurities. Now this pig iron is converted into cast iron, CAST, cast iron, by heating with scrap iron. When you take this pig iron and heat with scrap iron, you get cast iron, CAST, cast iron. This cast iron contains 3% of carbon and it is extremely hard and brittle compared to pig iron. Next is wrought iron. When you take this cast iron and heat it in a reverberatory furnace, it forms wrought iron. This wrought iron, WROUGHT, wrought iron is, or it is also called as malleable iron. It is the purest form of commercial iron, which is actually obtained from this cast iron. Cast iron contains 3% of carbon. So when you take this cast iron and heat it in a reverberatory furnace, which is lined inside with hematite, this hematite oxidizes whatever the carbon present in cast iron into carbon monoxide. So then it is free from carbon. Once the iron is free from carbon content, it becomes very soft. Compared to the cast iron and pig iron, wrought iron is comparatively soft compared to the other iron. This is all about extraction of iron. Very important in your examination. Sometimes they ask you to write the different reaction taking place at different zones. They will not ask you to explain all the zone. They will just tell you to explain the reaction taking place at a zone of slag formation, zone of reduction, or zone of combustion. So this you can expect in your examination in this manner, that is in zone wise. You have to remember the equation, the balanced equation, as well as the temperature here. So this temperature is again an approximation and not the exact temperature. In different textbook and different material, you will find the approximate temperature not with much great difference. Approximate temperature is being given over here. This is how the extraction of iron is done, which you can see in this picture. Here is the small animation about extraction of iron. Hope with this you may understand the extraction of iron better.
This animation shows that in the blast furnace, the reduction of iron oxides takes place at different temperature ranges. For this, hot air is blown from the bottom of the furnace and coke is burned to give temperature up to 2200 Kelvin in the lower portion. The burning of coke therefore supplies most of the heat required for the working temperature of the furnace. The carbon monoxide and heat moves to upper part of the furnace. In the upper part, the temperature is lower and the iron oxide, that is Fe2O3 and Fe3O4, coming from the top are reduced in FeO in steps. Limestone is also decomposed to calcium oxide, which removes silicate impurity of the ore as slag.
Extraction of iron is done using blast furnace. So the molten iron is collected over here. The pig iron, which is the purest form, comparatively the purest form of iron, in the next layer is been collected over here. This pig iron contains about 4% of carbon in it. This pig iron is later converted into cast iron and wrought iron. Wrought iron is the commercial form of iron, which is comparatively soft than this pig iron. So this is all about extraction of iron. At last, let us study the uses of some of these metals, that is aluminium, copper, zinc and iron. Uses of aluminium. It is used to remove dissolved oxygen during extraction of certain metals. It is a very good conductor of electricity. Hence, it is used in making electrical transmission cables. And I think you're very much familiar with aluminium foils. It is used as wrappers for chocolates, foodstuffs, soaps, etc. Aluminium being highly reactive, it is used in the extraction of chromium and manganese from their oxides. The finely divided powder of aluminium is used in paints and lacquers, that is a glossy varnish. Next, use of copper. It is used in electroplating and electrotyping industry. It is also used in several alloys which are actually tougher than metal. The common alloys where this copper is used is brass, bronze, coinage metals, gunmetal, etc. It is a very good conductor of electricity. It has a high electrical conductivity and hence it is used in making electrical wires, which is used in electrical industry and also for water and steam pipes. Copper is also used for alloying with gold and silver to make ornaments, which helps in making these ornaments hard. Uses of zinc. It is used in the manufacture of many alloys such as brass, German silver, etc. It is widely used in galvanizing iron to prevent from rusting. Zinc dust is used as a reducing agent in lab. It is used in the manufacture of drugs, dyes, paints and other chemicals, etc. It is also used in dry cells as electrodes. At last, uses of iron. As you are very much aware of the use of iron, it is used in the manufacture of wrought iron and steel. This wrought iron is used in making wires, bolts, anchors, chains and agricultural implements. Cast iron, which is most important from iron, is used for casting stoves, railway sleepers, gutter pipes, toys, etc. It is also used in the manufacture of many alloys such as brass, German silver, etc. This is all about the chapter General Principle and Process of Extraction of Elements. I repeat again that this chapter fetches you 4 marks in your theory examination. 1 1-marker question and 1 3-marker question can be expected from this chapter. I request students to check the video again for better understanding of the process, the concept, the chemical reactions and the diagrams. I request again to check the video again for better understanding of the chapter. Thank you. Stay at home, stay safe, keep learning chemistry.